All right, welcome to the debut episode of Scott Reads Comics. It's a little video cast where I go through some of my favorite comics from the Silver and Bronze Ages, especially ones that I've recently found or refound in dollar bins because I'm an inveterate dollar bin diver. And I can't think of a better issue to start off with than the first issue ever of Legion of Superheroes that I bought off the rack at Joe's Place, a little soda shop in Pittsburgh, city where I grew up and still live. And I bought this in probably January of 1983. It's cover dated April of 1983. It's cover dated April 83. It's Legion of Superheroes number 298. With, I might add, the free Amethyst Princess of Gemworld preview pullout, which DC used to do to push new books that they were getting ready to release. This Amethyst was a maxi series, and we'll get into that. Yeah, whenever I see this book in a dollar bin, I buy it. I can't resist for $1, and I actually grabbed this one yesterday, and it inspired me to finally get off my butt and start doing some vidcasts to share my love of comics with folks out there. So, 60 cents, what a deal. Love the orange on this cover. Keith Giffen, this is, in my mind, Keith Giffen at the height of his powers. A few years before he began to enter his experimental stage, he had gone through so many stages as a professional. In his very memorable run at Marvel on the Defenders, which we'll cover at some point, where he adopted a Kirby-esque style. Finally, after some travels here and there, wound up in the 80s working on the Legion with Paul Levitz and inker Larry Malstedt, and they just had an incredibly definitive run on the title, the most beloved run in my mind. This issue 298 is just 4 issues after the conclusion of the Great Darkness saga, which hopefully we'll cover in a later video. So this is The Edge of Nowhere, featuring one of my favorite little sub-teams of the Legion of Superheroes, Wildfire, Block, White Witch, and not pictured here, perhaps fittingly, Invisible Kid. And they're facing on the silhouette of some ominous looking foe who we're going to get into and meet as we go through this issue. And again, if I didn't say it before, I just love the orange on this cover. It's just really nice. Occasionally, if I see an ad when I'm going through these that strikes my fancy, I'll stop and say a few things about it. But this one's not terribly inspiring, so we'll just get right to the splash page. We see our Legion special sub-team, because the Legion, as folks know, in this period was some 20 plus members, maybe even 25 members. So Legion of Superheroes, The Edge of Nowhere. Paul Levitz, writer, and Keith Giffen, penciler. They're both listed as plotters. Larry Malstedt is the inker. John Costanza is the letterer. Carl Gaffer, the colorist. A great colorist who would later go on to do some incredible work on one of my favorite titles of the 80s and 90s, Suicide Squad, the John Ostrander, Luke McDonnell, Jeff Ursherwood run of Suicide Squad. And we'll definitely cover those on this show too. Karen Berger is the editor. So we have our Legion team on some remote mining planet, affectionately referred to as Mudball, asteroid 73Q. It's a little mining town. And here you can just see Giffen's layouts are just so inspired, and he just delivers so much detail in each panel, and there's a lot of story going on here. Someone, a planetary ambassador has been killed, a representative of the United Planets, and so the Legion are come to investigate who killed him and why. And so we have Wildfire grabbing the coffin that the individual is being taken off planet in, and because they want to investigate before it's all swept under the rug. Wildfire and Dawnstar are kind of star-crossed lovers at this point. They haven't really professed fully their love for each other, but Wildfire is confined to his containment suit, can't physically be with anyone, and Dawnstar is obviously a physical being, so their love seems to be doomed. And again, this issue features my favorite Legionnaire, Block, and I love this outfit that Giffen has him in here. And I don't know if Paul Levitz said, "Hey, give Block a new costume," or Giffen just decided, but just the simplicity of it and the colors, it works really well with Block's just kind of gray, rocky hide. And Block, a native of the planet Dryad, super strong, super dense, and sometimes a bit dense socially as well. And here we see the other two members of our team, Invisible Kid and White Wolf, or not White Wolf, White Witch. We can see here that Invisible Kid is still a little bit unsure, and as he's a relatively new addition to the Legion. He drank the formula that made the original Invisible Kid, Lyle Norg, into a hero before he passed away on a mission. And now we have the White Wolf able to show her chops as a Legionnaire in one of her first official missions. She is going to reveal with her magics how or what might have killed this politician. And here we have a cutaway. Meanwhile, one of the 30th century medical sciences landmarks continues its gentle orbiting of the Earth, 2 passengers heavier. So here we have Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl trying to navigate the 31st century or 30th century's medical system. They're on Medicus 1. And this secretary's a bit befuddled, and so Imra, Saturn Girl, just sort of uses her powers to smooth the bureaucracy out a bit. And again, Giffen's command of these characters here is just masterful. Just the subtle way he shows her powers being used, and you can't really underscore Larry Malstedt's inks here that really just bring the most out of Giffen's amazing pencils and design work and storytelling. So the two were just an amazing team as they went through this run. Just phenomenal work. And this ad actually, in my mind, ties into the Legion of Superheroes a little bit, because this is an ad for the early TSR Dungeons & Dragons from the early 80s. And it's funny because Levitz has a number of the Legion characters, Element Lad and Starboy, come to mind immediately, who actually, they play D&D during their downtime at the Legion headquarters, and they'll show them actually playing sort of a holographic version of D&D, and it's really cool. And we have another subplot before we get back to our main story. We have Earth, which is covered by this polymer shield, which keeps out invaders and other harmful elements, asteroids, things like that. And it's a cool setup because we have here emerging from hyperspace one of the heroes of Lalar, Duplicate Boy, who is just incredibly powerful. Any hero who exists, he can just as long as he knows they exist and what their powers are, he can duplicate them. So obviously probably duplicating the powers of Superboy here to travel in space on his own power. So he uses then Phantom Girl's powers, duplicates those, and just passes right through the polymer shield. And why is he here, and why is he so angry? Well, apparently we're getting close to the payoff of a storyline that's been brewing for a while. He is angry because he has found out that his girlfriend, Shrinking Violet, another member of the Legion of Superheroes, is actually having a tryst or an affair with Colossal Boy, who has long had a crush on her. So the growing character has long had a crush on the shrinking character in the team. And but she never showed any interest in him until recently, and that was a strange turn in her character. So now Duplicate Boy has found out, and he's going to go confront them. But how is he going to find them on this giant planet Earth? Well, he's going to use the tracking powers of Dawnstar. Dawnstar, that's it. I'll use her tracking power. There's his trace hidden in this mountain range. And so he's flying toward the Himalayas, where the two of them have been holed up in a little cozy little retreat, just relaxing and romancing. And again, Giffen's command of the characters is tremendous. Here we can see Duplicate Boy using X-ray vision, another borrowed power. And then, bam, he's breaking in, catching them in the act, and Colossal Boy knows he's in trouble. Meanwhile, Shrinking Violet doesn't seem to know who Duplicate Boy is, which is strange. Quiet, both of you. Now, what the hell's going on here anyway? What are you doing with the woman I love, Colossal Boy? Okay, that's going to get real in a minute. But meanwhile, back to Asteroid 73Q. The White Witch's magics have revealed, sort of made the ambassador's torso or his chest wall transparent so they can see inside that it looks like his heart was crushed in some strange manner. And Dawnstar reacts sort of viscerally to seeing this shocking sight. So they determine, yeah, this guy was murdered. That's not a natural cause of death. Wildfire, ever the pro. You're catching on for a rookie, kid. Hey, what happened to Donnie? Is she imitating your disappearing act, kid? And then you can see here, obviously, that she is in the bathroom, retching. Says occupied here. So Donnie is getting over some sickness after seeing that sight. And meanwhile, the White Witch, from using her magic, has fainted. And Wildfire is exasperated by his two fellow members' weakness. Come on, Pebble Brain. Invisible Kid can watch the girls. We're going to hit the tunnels. This scene is just incredible. It reminds me a little bit of that Guardians of the Galaxy when they go to nowhere for the first time. It's this crazy mining colony inside the head of a celestial. This, to me, conjures that same sort of thing. This is like a second splash page in the book, and it's just amazing. The colors, the rendering, the storytelling here. Again, the Legion, like, Giffen is a master at showing the Legionnaires using their powers, and here's Wildfire using his anti-energy to hover in the air, and there's Block sort of stalking along, just an implacable, powerful figure moving through this landscape of gadgets and corridors and technological stuff, and they're hewing these minerals, this mineral wealth out of this asteroid. And as an aside, just a nod to Costanza's lettering. I love the way he does Block's word balloons. They're just incredible. That aside, my friend, we know nothing of why the consul summoned us or why he was killed. Is not the asteroid's principal population center the proper place to find the probable cause? Block asks. And then, before they can really get too deeply into it, they hear an explosion. And it looks like it's going to collapse the ceiling around them. And this, I don't know if Giffen did this sound effect or if Costanza did it. I'm not sure who was responsible for it. My guess is it was Giffen and Malstedt who did it, since it's so sort of integral to the storytelling aspect of the panel and the page. But it is just so appropriately cool. And here we can see in the reflection of Wildfire's face visor, the whole place is collapsing. So here we see another demonstration of Wildfire's just incredible powers. He leaves his containment suit and unleashes a torrent of energy to blast some of the debris. And while Block, ever the slow to react, says, "Wildfire, that's not necessary." Oof. And Wildfire's containment suit drops on his head, cutting him off. I did have the support struts, you know. So you can see here this little miner sort of fleeing in the whole scene of destruction. Meanwhile, you can see Block, just incredible figure here, holding these struts up. And here on the next page, page 10, Wildfire and Block. Wildfire re-inhabits his suit, and he is welding stuff together, containing stuff. And now they're going to talk to some miners and try to figure out what's going on. And that little miner earlier who fled after being stonewalled by these other guys, he's going to show them the way to go. Meanwhile, this panel here in particular, while it doesn't have any background, I just love how it shows the scale of Block versus Wildfire. And again, Wildfire's exasperation just so perfectly captured by Giffen here and Malstedt with this fire effect coming out of his the vent from his helmet of his containment suit. And Block is just sort of stoic and ever supportive. Moving on here, we have a brief interlude between Element Lad and Sopagan Aaron, who is the Legion liaison from the Science Police. They're like the high-tech cops of the 30th century for the United Planets. And they're sort of, this is early in their relationship. Later in their relationship, these two are going to get together. But this is kind of early on when they're sort of just flirting. And here Chief Zendak calls in and says, hey, there's something crazy going on in the Himalayas. We need you to put a team together and go check it out. Colossal Boy is there, and he's involved in a fight with somebody. So here we have, which is great. Every Legionnaire has a symbol, an interlac, which is the language of the 30th century. And I think this is Element Lad's symbol right here. So there's 3 of them left on duty, and 3 of them are going to go. And it's a cool mini team, another cool mini team of Element Lad, Ultra Boy, and Phantom Girl. And Ultra Boy and Phantom Girl are an item as well. There's a lot of little romances and cliques in the Legion, and that's one of them. So in this point, the thick-headed Ultra Boy who realizes, oh, I'm the deputy leader, so I can just go ahead and leave these 2 in the dust. And he has all the powers of Superboy, but he can only use them one at a time. So he's going to use Superboy's speed, and he's just going to go to the Himalayas in an eye blink. Meanwhile, Element Lad and Phantom Girl, who have Legion flight rings and can fly pretty fast, but nowhere near as fast, are left in the dust. So that's my Joe, Element Lad, direct and effective, Phantom Girl says. And here, turn the page. This might as well be a second splash page. I mean, this is basically a crafty 2-panel construction here. But we can see here that Ultra Boy has arrived on scene and finds out who is roughing Colossal Boy up. Because he says here, wonder who Colossal Boy is having such a problem with. He's pretty tough. And then, a Duplicate Boy. Maybe I should have waited for the others. What a shot. I mean, this is just an incredible, these 2 Colossuses just battling each other. Colossal Boy had no time to get dressed. He's just still in his trunks from the hot tub, and Duplicate Boy is just letting him have it. Giant to giant. And you can see, and I missed this on initial readings, but I've read this book so many times, obviously now. You scan down to the bottom of the page. Be careful, help, somebody help. It's obviously Shrinking Violet lamenting that her boyfriend is having his butt kicked by Duplicate Lad, Duplicate Boy. And then down here, we see story continues after special insert. So here it is. This is technically the first appearance of Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld, brought to you by the amazing artist Ernie Kalan. And Dan Mishkin and Gary Cohn are the writers. Tom Ziuku is the colorist, Karen Berger, Dave Manick editors, and Kalan also letters this, interestingly. And this is gorgeous. I won't get too deeply into this and the story of it, but if you do find this issue in a dollar bin, grab it, because it is Amethyst's first appearance, technically, I think. And it's just a really sweet and cool fantasy tale that also manages to weave itself into the DC continuity, because like Amethyst appears in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Amethyst is part of the DC universe, but she is she's like a preteen girl, and when she's transported to this fantasy world, she becomes like a young woman, and not only just a young woman, but a woman who has inherited amazing magical powers. So, and Ernie Kalan is just a masterful artist and delineator here, and this is just freaking incredible. And the colors as well are just tremendous, and it's just a really cool setup for the maxi series to come, which I did collect as a kid as well and enjoyed. It was cool to see a female character just kind of thrust into a strong role at this time, because there was a paucity of that at the time. And so here we have, you know, a strong female character who gets to have a story all her own with supporting cast and villains and things like that. And so this was definitely the setup for that. And it really, that when you were buying this off the rack as a kid, I mean, 60 cents, you basically got a double-sized comic for 60 cents. At that time, double-sized comics were going for $1, so it was really a deal. And if you weren't interested in this story, well, you could just kind of skip over it. But it does give this issue a nice heft when you pick it up. It's, you know, it's got an extra beefiness to it. So here at the end, we have Amethyst, after her adventures, gets transported back into her bedroom in her own world, planet Earth. And you can kind of see here that she's a little girl again, and there's more adventures to come in her maxi series, which is coming up. So back to our regularly scheduled story here. Duplicate Boy is roughing Colossal Boy up. Here we get a close-up of Shrinking Violet lamenting what's going on. And we have Ultra Boy trying to figure out what to do. So he uses super strength to tunnel. And obviously, this is comics and it's comic physics or whatever. And Ultra Boy technically can only use one power at a time. So if he's using super strength, he doesn't have access to super invulnerability. So how is he actually, you know, tunneling through the earth? You have to assume at some point, and I did as a kid and still believe now, like when he duplicates super strength, he's also duplicating some level of invulnerability. Otherwise, he couldn't slug it out or do the things that he does do. But it is a cool gimmick that he's, you know, and that's why he's in a Legion. He can only use one power at a time. That's his unique thing. Every character in a Legion has to have a unique ability. Here he switches to his Penetravision, which is essentially X-ray vision, pops out, back to super strength, and upends Duplicate Boy, and which is a pretty great scene here. You okay, pal? He says to Colossal Boy. Oh, okay, he replies. And you can see he's had the crap beat out of him. He's pretty bruised and beaten up here, still in giant form. Meanwhile, we're about to meet our assailant, the individual who killed the ambassador, as now Wildfire and Block, with new guidance as to where the assailant might be, are joined by Dawnstar and Invisible Kid. Great sequence here with the shadowy environs of this mine. And as they're walking, you can kind of see Invisible Kid using his powers. Dawnstar's in silhouette. Block's just a big kind of lumbering silhouette. And Wildfire's dark here, but then he's lit up as they open into this environment that actually has some light. And there's this weird energy dome there. And this robot welcomes them, this drone of some kind. And we have, manifesting by a teleport beam, a Khund warrior, a Khund champion, Karlach. So he wants revenge on the Legion for a story, previous story in the early 280s. This is 298, so this was about over a year ago, where the Legion stealth team went to Khundia and caused some mischief that actually got Chameleon Boy, the head of the Legion spy sub-team, in trouble. So now this Khund wants payback. So he's here he's committed this crime to draw the Legion here and to be a champion and take them out because the Khunds, as an alien race, the Khunds respect only strength, only physical dominance. And again, great character design by Keith Giffen. Like he designs these Legion, these cybernetic Khundian warriors to face the Legion, and they are formidable looking, because you have to be if you're going to go against a team as powerful and diverse as the Legion. And you're going to see in the pages and panels ahead that he is well equipped to deal with the Legion. Here, Wildfire has this amazing move, and what a cool angle as he sweeps in from the side and blasts Karlach to no avail. Hey, he didn't collapse. Do you think only your science can create powers, Legionnaire? And here he blasts and misses him with a purple beam as it's cool how he just sort of grabs it off, like quick draw off his belt and blasts him. Then Dawnstar comes sweeping in with her incredible maneuverability and knocks the gun from his hand, maybe even breaking it. But faster than he looks, he grabs her and takes her out. I'm as fast as any of you, he boasts. And again, this is just incredible. No room for a thought bubble? Who cares? Giffen comes up with a workaround. Great shot of Wildfire. He has no human face, but just the plaintiveness of the lettering that Donnie crying Dawnstar's name, her nickname, showing up in his visor there just says everything. And then he's got that awesome Kirby crackle coming for the silhouetted form of Karlach. That's it, toy soldier. You just got yourself some real trouble. Indeed. Well, Karlach seems to have more than one gun as he pulls out another crazy looking gun, blasts Wildfire, and apparently Wildfire is gone, destroyed. He has destroyed Wildfire. I did not believe that was possible. But he simply sucked him out of his containment suit. I'm not so sure, mon ami. What I saw was so strange. You investigate then, and I will attend to Karlach. So this is a beginning, a hint of Invisible Kid. He just can't, he doesn't just turn invisible. The formula obviously reacted with him in a different way than Lyle Norg. He's got more going on than just invisibility, including maybe even some enhanced perception, because he saw that somehow Wildfire wasn't destroyed, but maybe whisked away somewhere or something. So Block's like, you check it out. I'm going to take this guy on. And this panel was just, as a kid, like this was my first introduction to Block. I just fell in love with the character. He's just so cool, just so simple, straightforward, noble, wants to avenge his companion, taking on Karlach. And here you can see his incredible strength and grip. He actually hurts the cyborg. And here you see Invisible Kid. He sees that Dawnstar is unconscious but okay. So he's going to fade away and try to find what happened to Wildfire. You can see his silhouette here. It's so cool the way they did this. Meanwhile, Invisible Kid's silhouette's fading away as he moves to search for Wildfire wherever he went. We don't know yet. Karlach, meanwhile, after locking up with Block, gives him a right cross here and sends him careening back. Back, Legionnaire, you have hurt me, and that has never been done before. And Block, laying on the ground, gets ready to pick himself up. I suggest you get used to the pain, Karlach. Those who kill Legionnaires frequently suffer before they die. And Karlach's not giving Block the chance to make good on that threat, though. He pops out. He teleports out to rearm and heal himself. Gone before I could even move. For all my power, I am very slow. Don't despair, Block. He was faster than I was, too. And see, Dawnstar has awakened, and she's hurt, though, so Block's going to pick her up and carry her back, which is a great departing scene here. Again, Invisible Kid's gone, too. So that's page 19. Meanwhile, page 20, we are back in the Himalayas, the Himalayan mountains, Earth. So here we have the aftermath of the fight. Duplicate Boy's still knocked out because when Ultra Boy upended him with his super strength, Duplicate Boy was assuming only duplicating the powers of Colossal Boy. And why he's more formidable than like Marvel's Giant Man, he's not invulnerable. So Ultra Boy knocked him out, and now he's starting to wake up. Hopefully you won't have to handle him. Look, he's waking up. Duplicate Boy? Oh yeah, hello Legionnaires. Don't start tensing up. I'm finished fighting. Great sequence here. He's giant. And here you can see little waves of energy. He has shrunk back down. You can tell by the perspective. And just an incredible storytelling here. And just great panel organization. There's never a doubt what's happening. And Duplicate Boy basically says, hey man, she's not worth it. I got what I came for. I found out. I'm out of here. So he's going to leave. And Colossal Boy's trying to explain, and Duplicate Boy, like, you can have her. She's not the Violet I fell in love with. Remember that. That's a clue. Here's Violet here, eyes downcast. Meanwhile, this panel is just tremendous. Tremendous use of white space here as Duplicate Boy speeds actually out of the panel. And the perspective is awesome, leaving the Legionnaire standing there, obviously duplicating Superboy's super speed and flight. I'll be a space dragon's uncle. He traveled all those light years just to punch Gim out. Gim is Colossal Boy's civilian name, Gim Allen. Buddy, if you didn't have any bad luck, you'd have none at all. Oh, I don't know, Ultra Boy. I've got Vi, and that's all I wanted. And Violet's just, whew, she's glad that's over. This ad, I love house ads. And please, if anyone in any authority is listening, Marvel or DC, print a collection of house ads. An epic style collection of house ads for either company would be totally awesome, and I would buy it. Great house ad for the Omega Men. My brother and I picked this up when we were kids. Again, this is actually Keith Giffen artwork. Omega Men were characters that started in Green Lantern, and later, I think we're in DC Comics Presents with Superman for an issue or two, and then assisted the Teen Titans in their rescue of Starfire, Princess Coriandor, from her evil sister Blackfire. And it was a great space epic adventure. And so they are space-based characters in the DC universe, and here they get their own book, and it's a Baxter book. It's like a higher end book without comics code on it, so it's extremely violent, as I remember, pretty violent fight scenes, and some pretty excellent early artwork by Giffen. I think he only stays on for 4 or 5 issues, but man, it's some pretty good art on there early on, and fun space opera adventure. Gets weird though after a while, so I only bought the first maybe 10 or 12 issues. First appearance of Lobo, I think, was in issue 12 or 13 of Omega Men. That oft used DC bad guy / good guy / anti-hero. Meanwhile, column, hey, it's Brooke Shields reading DC Comics. See, DC Comics aren't cool, or they are cool. Look, Brooke Shields is reading them, right? All right, great 9-panel grid here. A little maybe harbinger of Giffen later in his career, because he would lean heavily on the 9-panel grids in the 5 years later era of Legion. But here we have a 9-panel grid, just where basically some character interaction, and Element Lad is starting to be suspicious of the whole situation with shrinking Violet and her abrupt change in heart in terms of who she loves. So that will bear watching in future issues. And the subtlety, like Legion was great for action. Giffen was great for depicting that action. But sometimes it's these subtle, quiet character interactions that just really deliver the goods, and they make you love the characters and root for them or against them when it comes time to have those fight scenes. So this is the building blocks of building a rapport with the characters and the reader. Great interactions here. And then finally we have a final interlude here with Chameleon Boy, who I believe currently Chameleon Boy, who was recently freed from prison after his Kundian misadventure in the early 280s. I had mentioned it earlier, where he led the Legion espionage team to Kundia, and got into some trouble because it was a diplomatic snafu. And he, after being imprisoned in Takron Galtos, the prison, and having his powers neutralized, when they took the neutralizer off, he couldn't change shape anymore. He's a Legion's resident shapeshifter. As a Durlin, that's his alien power. So here, he's lamenting to his father, R.J. Brand, who was a Durlin but is trapped in his human form. He is the original funder of the Legion. That, hey, I want my powers back. And Brand is like, you need to learn to live without them. So he says, I'll try anything to get them back, even going home. And going back to Durla, it can be dangerous. That's their home world. If that's what you want, lad, you won't know how dangerous that can be. But I think if you go, maybe I go too. So they have a quest they're setting up here to get Chameleon Boy's powers back. Meanwhile, next issue, our only tease is that's obviously Invisible Kid, and he is going where, arriving where, who knows. One great thing about the Legion of this era, it was great for, they consistently had a letters page. I love letters pages. I wrote many letters to comics, got a few printed here and there. We'll cover those maybe in a later video, but yeah, so they have a nice, the Legion Outpost letters page, and they provide extra information in addition to printing fan letters. So yeah, these letters are still raving about the Great Darkness Saga. They're referring to the heat of the heart of the Great Darkness Saga, issue 292, 293. So next month, a good look at the Science Asteroid and what Mon-El and Shady are doing there. A name change for one of our cast, the story of what happened to Invisible Kid, and Wildfire, and more. Be there. We will be. Paul Levitz. And this was my first issue of Legion, and I was hooked. I immediately went to Ides Comics, bought the back issues, all the back issues I could find, many of them from what was their dollar bin at the time. Some of them bagged and boarded, bought those. And yeah, Legion of Superheroes 298 was the launch pad for me and my Legion fandom. I would describe myself more as a Marvel fan, but it's funny, I start this whole thing with reading comics here on YouTube with a DC book, but this is one of my favorites, and I was happy to share it with you. Check back for more videos in the future, and thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.